Welcome back to the U-Man channel. My name is Oliver, and today we've got another camper project. I was recently picking up my son from college, and I had my 20-foot cargo trailer, and on the way back when the thing was loaded up, had to blow it on the highway. It wasn't particularly hot out, and I was going about maybe 70 miles an hour, and I couldn't figure out why I keep having these problems with this trailer. So what I did was I took a look into what the tires that were on there were, and also started doing some research online. Turns out these tires are deload rated, and they were not speed rated. That means that without a speed rating, they're only good for up to 65 miles an hour. And with a deload rating, they're only good for 2,600 pounds or 2,560 pounds apiece. So that seemed to be adequate for the load that I was carrying, but I have a feeling that because I was going over the speed limit with a heavy load, I think the tires just gathered too much heat and started to delaminate. So when I went to replace that tire, I had them put on an E-load rated tire, and I'm going to be replacing those with like tires as well. Now, that got me thinking. In the fall, I got to head back out to Colorado because I got to go pick up my son when he gets out of the military, and I was planning on taking the camouflage bug-out trailer. So I figured I better take a look and see what's going on with the wheels and tires on that thing. First thing I found was that the tires, there were 3 different types of tires on there. There was one matched pair, and they were not speed rated, and they were deload rated, which means they were good for up to 65 miles an hour and 2,560 pounds. The other tire was a similar tire, same tread pattern and all, but it was deload rated and had a speed rating of L, which is supposed to be good to 70 miles an hour. And the 4th tire on there was a complete mismatch and deload rated and no speed rating either. So I figured I better take care of this problem in the shop before it becomes a problem out on the road. Doing some research, I decided that I was going to go with a higher load rated tire. I was going to go with a higher speed rated tire, and what I ended up getting was Trans-Eagle ST trailer tires. I ended up going with the all steel tire as opposed to the steel belted tire, and I got an F load rated 12-ply tire that is good for up to 3,200 pounds. I believe the other code on the tire was 121, 117. So the tire is good for carrying up to 3,200 pounds. These are also higher pressure tires. A higher pressure tire meaning it's 100 psi instead of 65 psi. And when I looked a little bit further into that, I found that the rims that I have on there, they're steel rims, but they're not good for anything over 80 psi, which meant new wheels. I was able to find a real nice set of Raceline Defender wheels. These things are good for 3,200 pounds and for up to 130 psi. I got the upgraded valve stems in there, which are bolt-in as opposed to just a snap-in stem, and that should help with keeping leaks out of the equation as well as handle the 100 psi that I need to put into there. So that's where it all started. Next step was I figured that since I'm going to be upgrading the wheels and tires, there's been a couple of other things that I've been wanting to do to this. One of which was to put a MORryde equalizer system on. MORryde equalizer system uses a rubber bushing inside the equalizer that connects the 2 tandem axles. When that comes in, I'll show you a little bit more about that. It's supposed to dampen and smooth the ride. I've already upgraded the shock absorber system on there, and it made a big difference, but this is supposed to make a tremendous amount of difference as well. So, got a lot of stuff to do and a lot on the plate, so we're going to get started. So this is going to be a multi-day project, and I'll be back and we'll get going. First thing that came in today was my MORryde heavy-duty shackle kit. You can see here we got the 1/2 inch thick shackles, and we got the wet bolts, which are greasable, And they also come with the bronze inserts so that you don't wear out those cheap plastic ones that most of these systems come with or maybe stock in your camper. Before we install the CRE 3000 equalizer kit for Moride and the heavy-duty shackle kit, I thought it might be a good idea to powder coat the shackles themselves. It looks like they have some type of either a nickel plating or some type of a galvanizing on them, and I just thought that for additional durability and longevity that I would hit them with powder coating. What I found was these wet bolts are actually pressed in to the one side of the shackle. That's going to make it difficult to put through the powder coating and not possibly affect the hardness of these things. So I thought it'd be an interesting experiment to do the one side in powder coating and the other side in paint. We'll see which one holds up longer. So let's get this going. We're going to transfer them to the baking hooks and we'll get them to the oven and let them bake for about an hour at 400 degrees. I'm using a REL 5017 powder coat. It's called Ford Dark Blue, which should match the equalizer. This is again made by Powder by the Pound. I got it for all different colors. It's the same thing I used when I made the iPad stand. So it's a nice durable paint, and this one is rated for outdoor use. Here we have the parts in the oven. Oven set at 425 so that I can achieve a surface temperature of 400 in about an hour. So you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but they're kind of just flat matte finish right now, and then after they bake, they'll be nice and glossy. All right, now that I got the shackles with the bolts pressed into them all taped up, we're ready to throw some primer and paint on here. And always remember, never forget to tape your nipples. I was just getting ready to throw another coat of paint on the shackles here, and the FedEx guy showed up. So dropped off the new tires. First thing I noticed was these tires are pretty heavy. Threw them on the scale. Turns out the tire weighs 46 pounds by itself. I would venture to guess that's probably pretty close to what the wheel and tire I have on there right now weigh. So when I get those things off of there, I'm going to throw one on the scale just to see how they compare. All right, let's go through and kind of read what this tire is telling us here. As you can see, it's the Trans-Eagle ST Radial. And it does say on here that this is a tubeless all-steel radial, not steel belted, for trailer service only. Over here, it tells us that this is weight rated or load rated for 121/117, which is 3,200 pounds on a single axle configuration, and I don't remember what 117 is, and that's for if it's set up on a dual tire configuration. And it is load range F, and it is a 12 belted tire. Underneath here, you can see where it says DOT. This is the date the tire was produced. It was produced in the 16th week of 2019. That's what the 1619 says there. One of my concerns was because this tire was about 40-50 bucks less than everywhere else I saw it. I got these for 117 a piece. Everywhere else was selling them for around 145, 165 bucks. I think the lowest other one I saw was 130, 135 bucks, and that included shipping. So one of my concerns was that this was going to be possibly an older tire, but the guy assured me they were fresh. So I don't know, you can't get much fresher than end of April, early May of this year. So you can see here, 12 ply tread, 1 steel plus 2 steel sidewalls, 1 steel. Here it is. Here's the max load. For a single tire configuration, it's got a 3195 pound capacity at 95 psi. And if you have a dually or a dual tire axle, it's good for 2,835 pounds. So that's a little bit about how to read your tire information. I think that's pretty much all I got here. Unfortunately, they are made in China, but these things are very stiff, very heavy. And I was told they're very well constructed. And you can see that tread pattern. That tread pattern looks more like a semi-truck tire than other tires I've seen on the campers. So that's good for keeping the trailer running straight and for keeping it running straight and for keeping the heat in the tire down. For the next stage of this project, we had to put the camper in the big bay. Turns out that with the lift, I couldn't get everything I needed to get the wheels and axles off the ground done in the dock where I normally keep it. So we had a pleasant surprise this afternoon. The CRE 3000s from Moride came in. Tracking number said it wouldn't be here till Monday, but they did come in today, so we're going to get started on this. We're going to get the wheels off, get the old bolts and shackles pulled off of there and start doing this. And then when the wheels get here on Monday, we'll get them mounted and balanced and finish this thing up. Here's a quick shot to show you guys the difference between the old equalizer and shackles compared to the new shackles and the new equalizer. This is the Moride CRE 3000, and you can see there's a rubber piece in there that will absorb the shock, along with the slot, which will give you an additional 3 inches of travel in the suspension. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get this last part on video for you guys, but there was a lot of cussing and all kinds of nasty stuff happening. This is definitely not a one-man job, even tough with one man and a forklift to do. I finally got it in, and it looks like the CRE 3000 is going to give me about an additional inch of lift on top of the suspension travel and cushioning, so that's a good thing. Hopefully I'll get closer to running level with this thing now. I had the suspension lifted previously, and I added 6 inches on that, and it was still running a little bit nose high, so I'm hoping that with the additional inch this thing gives me, it will be running flat. We finally got this thing back together, got the wheels back on. I did grease it all up before I put it back together, and the wheels are just on temporarily until the new ones show up on Monday, hopefully. So right now, it looks like the paint I put on there didn't hold up for the installation, so that's going to be a moot point. But it does look like the trailer's got about an additional inch of lift because of how these hang versus the stock equalizers. All right, now it's time to get the second side done. Need a little motivation. that went much better than the first side did. Now that I knew what I was doing, it took a fraction of the time. First side took me a couple hours. This side didn't take me more than about half hour, 45 minutes from the time I took the tires off. Nice to have a forklift to help lift that thing as opposed to messing around with jacks, but is what it is. Anyway, I did take measurements before and afterwards, and it did come up an inch. It measured to the top, to the bottom of the fender, measured 33 1/4 before, and now it measures 34 1/4. So it did give me that extra inch of lift that I was looking for. So far, they look nice. I'm happy with the results. I just got to hit the wet bolts with some grease right now, which I forgot to do before putting the tires on, but they're easy to get to. They're all pointing to the front, so that'll be a quick little job. Last thing on the list for suspension improvements is that I'm going to put these reinforcements on the end hangers. Found some nice 3/16 looks like steel tubing, and we're going to cut a 45 onto there and create kind of a gusset and a box for those hangers. One of the things I heard was that if you're lifting your campers like I did, that those things that are on their stock might tend to buckle and go sideways on you if you're taking sharp corners, putting a lot of stress on the suspension. So this should resolve that problem for me. This is what the boxing plates that I made for the spring hanger brackets look like. What we're going to do is we're going to take these. We're going to weld them to the outsides of these spring hangers. Looks like this one was either mounted crooked or it may have gotten bent at one point, so we'll have to see what we can do about it. Either adjusting that bracket or pulling it in. So those will get welded on, give the thing some additional rigidity and strength, and keep those things from buckling over. I've got the brackets spot welded in and had to do a little fitting to make those top corners fit. Son was nice enough to come and help me with the welding. The young guys do the creeping and crawling and contortion work. Good thing those aren't the new tires. How's that look?
You tell me.
Yeah, it looks pretty damn good. And here's the final result of the reinforcements we put on these spring hangers. Got them all painted up. There's the Moride. And there's the back reinforcement. So I feel a lot more confident that this thing is not going to cause me any problems with this thing bending over while going down the road or making tight turns. Here are the pictures of before and after the installation of the suspension kit. It's a very subtle difference, but the biggest place I noticed a change was when I checked my leveling bubble. Before, I had a full bubble on the camper when it was hooked up to the truck, and now it's only a half a bubble, so it did make a difference. All right, the wheels came in this morning. We sent them out to the shop and we got them all mounted up, so they're getting ready to go on. We're going to be putting the wheels on using these spline lug nuts. They give you a little extra security, but don't give you the hassle of the locking lugs. I ordered the wrench for them, And they don't look too bad either. Better than the stock open nuts. Yeah, we've had the tires swapped out, and I want to do just a little side-by-side comparison for you guys. On the left is the new one with the aluminum wheels, and on the right is the old Max Miler. You can see how square these tires are, how square and flat they are compared to how those things are kind of crowned and rounded around the corners. My tire guy said that he had one hell of a time getting these things on here, and the machine actually slipped on this one and put a little gouge in my wheel, so he cut me a really good deal on the mounting and balancing, and we're just going to use this one for the spare since I got 5. The steel sidewall makes it very difficult to mount these things, and he would recommend that if you got steel sidewall tires that you mount them on steel wheels. That would be his recommendation from an installation standpoint, but the strength of the wheel is not an issue here. It's just that if you had some different equipment, it would have been a little bit smoother. So if you're having putting on a wheel like this, then you may want to go to an actual truck service center or something where they're used to putting on these strong sidewalls. The nylon sidewall on the other wheel, you could feel is very weak compared to this, especially inflated. The other thing that I noticed was the way the sidewalls don't flex nearly as much under load here. Let's take a quick snapshot of this with all my garbage down there. You can see the bottom of the tire does not bulge out nearly as much, and I have not even checked to see if he put these things to 95. So if they get even straighter at 95, then it'll be a huge difference. So that's it. We were going to change these tires outside, but Mother Nature didn't want to cooperate, so we had to do it in here. And I'll post a better picture of these some other time. But they do make a nice looking improvement. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of work in not that much time, and it made a huge improvement. I'm going to do a follow-up video on this at some point to let you guys know how it feels on the road and how the tires perform, and hopefully we'll be able to get it out before the end of the year and enjoy the summer out there a little bit. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you soon.